I had a situation come up this week that I haven't experienced something like this in a long time because of the boundaries that I have put up around my business and the people that I choose to engage with and not engage with. But, sometimes people leak through. And I think it's such a great example of how how the world gets past those boundaries and those barriers, and you have to kind of figure out what to do. And especially in a professional setting, it can be dicey. So, here's what happened, pretty much. I work as a massage therapist with only referrals. My new clients come as referrals from other people that I've worked on. And that's been amazing for me. And there's so much I could say about that. And looking back right now, the first red flag I didn't notice until all of this was done is that the referral I received was from someone that I actually didn't want as a client anymore and hadn't talked to in over a year because of it. And you know what? For some reason, that didn't register at the moment. And it is, I think, very true that the people that you associate with are going to be like you in some way. And so it wouldn't have been crazy to assume that if I'm getting a referral from someone who I have found to not be respectful, that they would be referring me someone who was not respectful. So that was just the first point. So I got this referral. I had a text message from someone I hadn't worked on in over a year. And this is not someone I dislike. And it's someone I do actually know on a somewhat personal basis, which makes it a little more complicated. And she said, I gave a referral to 2 people that I know. And I said, oh, great, thank you, because I want referrals. And especially if from people in certain industries, it's very helpful to have referrals coming from professionals who do certain things like physical therapists, anyone in like an acupuncturist. It's really good to have those kinds of relationships set up. So you don't want to reject them necessarily, right? So within like a minute, I'm getting a phone call from an unknown number. Like, oh, it's probably one of the people she referred. And I answered, and this person is, the best way I can describe it is very charming, like to a red flag level of charming. Smooth. It's a smooth talker, and I'm pretty good at pinpointing bullshit when I hear it. And so I'm already kind of like, this guy. This is the guy who thinks he can talk his way into getting anything he wants, which can be harmless. Ultimately, it depends. So I keep going with it, and he's saying he's looking for something in particular that he wants worked on. Fine. And he's saying, oh, it'd be great to do this tonight. First problem. I do not take appointments with less than 24 hours notice in general. I will allow it sometimes for people that I've worked on before, or for really good clients, and if they just happen to really need something and I'm free. But for new clients, never. I do not do that. And I said, well, I don't usually take appointments with less than 24 hours notice. This day would be better. And he said, okay, that day is good. And then goes back and goes, oh, but tonight would really be. And the fact that he kept going back to that after I had already expressed, this is my boundary, this is what I would prefer. I was like, that's not good. And my bad. You know what? I was like, okay, I don't have anything to do tonight. The time of which this would happen is far enough away to where it's not going to affect the rest of my day. If I plan to do this later, I'm going to say, okay, we can do it tonight. Probably shouldn't have done that, but I did. The next thing he says is, and you know what? It's really great if you could do these kind of stretchy things. It's great when someone he takes my leg and pushes it in this direction. He's telling me about a leg injury and how the other person he works with does this thing and he wants me to do that same thing. Now, this is not a hard boundary that I have expressed with my clients because it's usually not a problem, but it is one that I hold internally, and that is, I am not a restaurant. I don't take orders. I don't have a menu. You come to me for something, for a specialty. If you have a problem that you want addressed and you want to know if what I have to offer can help, you come to me for what I have to offer. I do not take orders. And I don't mean that in the way of like, don't tell me what to do, even though I kind of do also mean it that way. It's more in the sense of there's no menu here. I have a specialty and I lean into that. And that's what people come to me for. And when I have someone who shows up and starts saying, well, I like this and I like this and I like this and I'm listening, and that's great. I'm not that type of massage therapist. There are plenty of massage therapists who will show up and give you the tailored experience that you order. I am not that. And I haven't really expressed that as part of my, like, this is my business model, because, it's a bit much. You don't need to say all that. But it is something I hold internally to where when I'm evaluating a new client based off of what they're telling me, if they start coming toward me with, and I like when people do this, and I like when people do this, and if you could do some of this, I'm just like, I don't think this is the right fit. Because when people come to me based off of referral, and this is one of the biggest reasons why I do it this way, is they are at least somewhat aware of the type of work that I do, which is not what you're going to get everywhere else. I expect that if you're giving someone a referral, you're saying, okay, well, this is kind of the type of work she does. It might be helpful. And that the person is reaching out to me for that reason. So to that, I said, well, you know what? I don't normally do that. And there is a reason. I'm actually, my height, I'm very short, and those types of things are hard for me to do. So I probably won't do that, but I have other ways of achieving the same goal. So that was the second thing. Third, so now we're coming up on, okay, so we're going to do this and we're going to schedule this for tonight. I was expressing to him what my rates are, and he said, oh, doesn't matter. I'm like, okay, well, let me tell you anyway. My rate for 90 minutes is this much. And his response to that was, 90, no. No one can go more than an hour on me. Like, you're going to be exhausted. I'm like, oh, well, that's really interesting that you're telling me that, because you don't know. And I do 90 minutes as a minimum for the most part. This is all thought. I did not say these things. I do 90 minutes as a minimum with people for house calls. I very rarely do hour sessions. And if it is, it's because I'm seeing multiple people there. And I certainly don't do that regularly. Occasionally, I have done it for a first time appointment if we didn't know how it was going to go. And so I expressed that to him. I said, oh, actually, no, I'm sorry. I did not tell him that I usually only do 90 minutes. Instead, what I said was, well, I regularly do 90-minute sessions. In fact, that's what I normally do, and it is not a problem for me. To which he responded, oh, well, you must be, because the lady I work with, she can only do it. I'm like, it doesn't matter. I'm telling you I can do 90 minutes. He said, well, let's stick with an hour. So I'm already thinking this was never about what I could do. This is what he wanted in his backwards manipulation way of making sure that he was going to get what he wanted, which was just an hour. Okay, noted. And I still agreed. I was like, you know what? It's a first-time appointment. I will do an hour. Sometimes for a first-time appointment, I will do an hour. But really what I said was, okay, well, let's see how it goes. We'll plan for an hour and we'll see how it goes. And that's where we left it. Okay, so we scheduled the appointment for that evening. I go about the rest of my day. I'd say within 3 hours, I was getting a text, too much work, can't do tonight. Something like that. And I said, okay, so we can reschedule for Saturday, the day that we were initially planning to do, which felt better to me. And so we agreed Saturday. Okay, so now it is Saturday. And I expect cancellations or reschedules to happen with 24 hours of notice. Did I tell him that? No, I didn't. Do I tell people that? Yes, sometimes I do, but there's just such a long list of boundaries I have with my business that if you're talking to someone by text or over the phone, it's like it gets overwhelming and it can get kind of harsh if you're just like, I expect this and I expect this and I expect this and I don't accept this. So sometimes it's like you just even though it would be better to put it out there first, which I used to do with like a form. I would make people fill out a form and like sign the bottom that they read it, and all of that would be in there, and that was really actually a better way to do it. But it's a lot, and most of the time I don't have a problem. And once that happens the first time, that if someone does try to reschedule or cancel with less than 24 hours notice, which most people don't because they are respectful, I let them know at that point, okay, just so you know, in the future, I hope to have 24 hours notice for these things. And I let them slide. But because of the craziness that I had already experienced with this person, I don't care. Like, I'm not in a place where I want to engage with this person anymore. First of all, let me tell you how this cancellation happened. Let's actually read the text. It's one of those texts with like where you put too many spaces in between two words and there was no punctuation. All it says is, need to cancel too much work. That's it. And this is, let's say, 6 hours before their appointment. And so I debated with myself, do I even want to respond to this? Do I just not respond? Do I respond with a one-word answer of like, got it or received? Do I lay out the boundaries that he has crossed so that he doesn't try to reschedule? Because at this point, I do not want to talk to this person anymore. I do not want them asking me for appointments. I'm done. This is a no for me. This is a no. And so I'm just trying to figure out at this point how to close that door, giving the least amount of energy I can in an appropriate way. And so nowadays I turn to what is this that I'm using? Copilot, and run it through Copilot. And usually they give me something that I don't want to use, but I figure out what I do want to say based off of what they tell me. And I put in the list of boundaries and red flags that I saw and recognized that a lot of them I don't really feel like I can use as a valid reason to say no because I didn't tell him. Or I told him and then I said, but it's okay this time. So I can't very well say, I don't want to see you as a client anymore because I don't take last minute bookings, but I did. And I don't want to see you as a client anymore because I only do 90-minute sessions, but I told him I would. Things like that. So it needed to be something that I felt I could back up regardless of what I did or did not say. And what I actually ended up sending was just a one-word response to acknowledge that I received the message because I didn't want anyone saying, did you get my message? I just wanted to end it. So I wrote noted, period. And I know that is a little sharp, and I wanted it to be a little sharp. I wanted to close the door on any more attempts to connect with me. And yes, I could have written received. That was something that Copilot had recommended. But I wanted it to be clear, or at least pick upable, if you have any amount of attunement in you, that what you did just now was not okay with me. And I'm not giving this any more energy. And so I felt like just writing noted, period, was the right thing to do. Now, I also am prepared for the fact that he probably did not pick up on the fact that that was not okay with me and may still try to rebook. And I need to be prepared with something to write to express that I don't want this. This is not going to work for me. And so what I came up with, semi with the help of AI, but mostly not. I mean, let's not give them all the credit, is the response, I expect the clients I work with to respect my time. Last minute rescheduling takes away from other potential clients. It would perhaps be a better fit for you to visit a massage establishment who can take you on last minute. And that's it. And the reason that this is what I chose to write, or rather would choose to write if I get a request for another appointment, is that this is something that I feel doesn't need to have a boundary. I don't need to have a boundary that says my client should respect my time. I think that's just basic. So it's something where I felt like I shouldn't have needed to tell you the boundary for you to know it was wrong. And the facts behind it is, here's the reason why: because this is my business, this is my livelihood, and when I put you into my schedule, I'm not putting someone else in. So when you cancel on me last minute and someone else wouldn't have, you affect in my monies. And that is indisputable. Indisputable. And what it says is, I can't trust you. If I put you in my schedule again, I can't trust that that's going to actually turn into a financial exchange that supports me, where I could put someone else in and I trust that it will. You are not dependable. You are not trustworthy. And this is not something I want to pursue with you. And by following it up with, it would perhaps be a better fit for you to visit a massage establishment who can take you on last minute, it says, I'm not saying you're wrong in the way that your lifestyle is, because literally some people, that is just how their schedule is. They don't know if they're going to be available for something until the last minute, or they need someone who can take them last minute. And that's fine. But that is why these other places exist. That's why you can show up at the door and they can say, oh yeah, we have a table available. That's not the structure of a self-employed single massage therapist who goes to your home. And I don't think that people recognize that. And that's okay. It's not their world. I don't expect everyone to understand the difference there. But sometimes it's important to tell them. Like the structure of what it takes to be a massage therapist on your own who does house calls is not the same as what it takes to be a massage establishment who always has someone available there for you. It's different. I cannot do what they can do, and they can't do what I can do. And this is not the right fit. And so, all in all, I feel like the message that I have put together here is clear. It's something I can back up. It's something that I think is indisputable. By using a redirect instead of like a door slam in your face, I think that you're minimizing the chances of someone coming back at you with an argument or with a fight. And what I want at this point is to put no more energy into this whatsoever. I don't want to fight somebody. I don't want that energy coming at me, and I don't want to think about it. I don't want to give anything back. I just want the door closed. And if someone thinks that the door is closed, they're far more likely to be like, hey, versus with a redirect, there's a bit more grace there. There's a bit more respect. There's a bit more acknowledgement of, hey, you're still valid, even though I'm rejecting you right now. And it's just like a somewhat more soothing way to turn someone away, and you're less likely to get any kind of pushback on it. So although, no, I don't think this person deserves my politeness, it's not about him and what he deserves. It's about, I don't want to put anything else into this, and I'm going to say what's going to give me my best chance of cutting this off now and never having to look at this again. So that's how that was handled. And what I learned from this situation is that even when you set up your business in a way that doesn't let through the crazies, sometimes they get through and you have to patch the holes. And this time the hole was giving too much investment to referrals that come from people that you already decided you didn't want to invest in. Yeah, and fair enough. It happens. And I've got so many more stories like this, but it felt too good to not share. It felt too valuable. It's too relatable. Let's see, did I miss anything? No, that's it.